All right, it's time once again for Music Night at the Majestic, brought to you by the Outdoor TV Experts. If you've ever sat by your pool or your patio and thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a waterproof TV out here? Well, here's your chance. The Outdoor TV Experts have all kinds of options for all kinds of budgets. Visit OutdoorTVExperts.com and use the Music Night discount to receive free shipping. And let me tell you, it ain't cheap to ship a 65-inch TV. That's OutdoorTVExperts.com. All right, we are here with Greg Kihn. Greg, thank you so much for joining
How
us.
you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. Glad to have you here. I got to tell you, we tried to do it the other night, ran into some technical issues, but in the meantime, the amount of people who were, sending in questions and stuff, we actually had to whittle down just to get to the cream of the crop, if you will. So
Okay, well,
and it worked out pretty good.
Friend.
All right. Well, tell you what, why don't we just, get, right to the start here. Did you start out as a musical prodigy? Were you one of those 3-year-olds that knew exactly what you were going to do, or did it come along a little bit later?
Interesting question, because I started playing the guitar really early. I got a guitar when I was about 13. It was pre-Beatles. I was into the Kingston Trio. My cousin had all the Kingston Trio albums, and I was learning, songs like Tom Dooley and MTA and so on. And then when the Beatles came out, and I remember it like it was yesterday, I think I was about 13. We were watching it on Ed Sullivan, and it was Sunday night. Ed Sullivan was a real family show, and it had jugglers and comedians and singers and stuff. And when the news broke that the Beatles were going to be on Ed Sullivan, it was I think the largest TV audience in history. Even the criminals took the day off. There was no crime or anything committed during that period. And I remember how the impact of seeing the Beatles for the first time, and hearing the music and realizing that the same 3 chords that I'd been, dutifully doing on the guitar, the same D, G, and C, and all those chords also worked on all the Beatles songs. So it really became just the three or four songs that I knew in my youth kind of served me well. And truthfully, I'm still known as I'm well known as a lame guitar player, and I'm basically playing the same 3 chords that I learned back when I was 13.
Well, you mentioned the Ed Sullivan Show. If the Beatles hadn't come along, would Senor Wences have had the same impact on you? Might we know Greg Kihn, the ventriloquist?
Yeah, you know what? It's quite possible, because this was back in the day. This was before we had rock and roll on television all the time. You can turn on the TV right now and watch 20 or 30 different rocket shows. Back in those days, there were only 3 channels when I was a kid, and it was CBS, NBC, and ABC, and that was it. You had 3 things to choose from on a Saturday night. Ed Sullivan was big because it was for the whole family. They'd have comedians, and I remember the other people that were on that first night that the Beatles were on, and how lame they all came after the Beatles came on. Everybody, it was like the whole universe had changed, and it was a lot of fun. But I gotta say, I look back on my career, and I've done a lot of things. We had a hit record or 2, a couple of novels that I've written, a whole career in radio. I was on doing the morning show on KFOX Radio in San Francisco for 17 years. So for 17 years, I was getting up at 4 or 3:30 in the morning and driving over to San Francisco. And I did that for 17 years, and it basically killed I didn't play any gigs for a while. And we didn't go on the road or anything like that. So when finally I parted ways with KFOX and I started playing again, it was a revelation. It was so comfortable and it felt so good to play material again in front of a live audience. As a matter of fact, right now I'm coming to you live from Soundtech Studios in Campbell, California, where the bass player for the GKB, Robert Berry, has a great studio here. And I'm in the studio now once or twice a week. I drive over here and we just kick around song ideas. And the best stuff that we ever come up with is stuff that nothing, like, for instance, today I had an idea driving over and we sat down and we wrote the song in maybe 15, 20 minutes. And the whole thing just came together. It was kismet. And that's my favorite thing, the creative process. I love the creative process. I love writing. I love writing songs. I love recording. I love writing novels. I love being on the radio. I love talking. So, I've really been blessed that my life turned out so well, and all of these situations that I'm in now still work. It's amazing to me. I never thought I'd still be around at this point. You know what I mean? I was a wild child back in the day, and back in the 80s when the Greg Kihn band started, actually in the mid 70s, we cut our first album. I think we made 20 albums over 20 years, if you can believe that. And never had a dull moment. Always had fun. Always had a lot of creative juice. To me, that creative juice is the whole shooting match. That's everything. If you can harness the creative juices like that, you can do anything. People come up to me and they ask me, was it hard to write a novel or actually I've published 6 novels. And I said, no, I didn't even think about it. I just started it one day. I had an idea for a story, and the next thing I know, it was a year later and I had a published novel. So I've been really lucky and fortunate. And, life goes on. Here I am still, what is it? It's been a million years and I'm still doing it. And it's fun and fresh and wonderful as ever. And I'm working a lot of guys go into the studio and they think in terms of albums. We're going to cut an album. We don't do that. Every couple, maybe twice a week, I'll drive down to the studio and we'll just hang out from about 11 till 3 in the afternoon and just kick around song ideas. And if we come up with something like we did today, something out of the clear blue, we're already in the studio, so we can go back and start recording it right away. So it's been a real learning experience. But I always want to reiterate to people, you don't know what you can do until you try. And I never thought I could write novels or go on the radio or have hit records, but here I am and I did it. And it wasn't that hard. It was a lot of fun.
Don't say that. You're taking away all the mystique.
Well, I got to say, I have been doing this for a long time. And the fact that I got a situation where I could just jump in the car, drive over to the studio if I have a song idea, and we can cut it the same day. And, that's something, that a luxury that I didn't get until later in life. back when I first started, it was back in the early Paleozoic era. Albums. I remember cutting the demos for my first album on a 4-track, and this was back in the day where your standard studio had like two-track Ampex machines, and you'd bounce it from machine to machine, and of course now we have unlimited amounts of tracks. I remember going in to the guy for our first album, and Glenn Kalakin, who was the engineer on the album, he says, you guys have got 16 tracks to work with now. And I went, geez, 16? I'm used to 4 tracks. And I remember telling the Glenn, the engineer, that I said, man, I'll never do 15, 16 tracks. I'll never use it. I'm a 4-track guy. Of course, now we'll use 16 tracks on the drums alone. So, things have changed.
Funny how that changes.
Yeah, but life goes on, and I gotta say, I feel so fortunate. A lot of my friends are gone. We just lost Eddie Money, who was a very good friend. I used to talk to Eddie once a week on the phone, no matter where we were in the world or what we were doing. And, it was always a pleasure. And the guy always opened with a joke, no matter how bad. He would come on. When he was dying of cancer, esophageal cancer, and they were giving him months to live. Yeah, we're good. And I remember he says to me, I went to the doctor the other day and he gave me 6 months to live. I said, Doc, I can't afford. I got to keep working. I got to keep gigging. And he goes, all right, I'll give you another 6 months. That was Eddie, man. He was a great guy. But see, I look back now, we've lost in the Greg Kihn band. These are guys that I grew up with and I loved. Gary Phillips is gone from cancer. Dave Carpenter, our original guitarist, lost him to a heart attack. Steve Wright, stroke a couple of years ago. It's only me and it's me and my son Rye. Rye is now playing guitar in the Greg Kihn band. He's great, and Robert Berry on bass, and also we've gone back to Larry Lynch, the original drummer for the Greg Kihn band. So we'll be when this COVID thing is lifted and we start gigging again. I think we'll be good. We'll jump right into it with the original drummer. So it's even though I've lost a bunch, out of the 5 guys that were in the Greg Kihn bands that cut the breakup song, okay? The breakup song, which was our first big hit. Out of those 5 guys, there's only 2 guys left, me and Larry Lynch. So it's been, it's been a waker upper. But life goes on, and I just feel like no matter what happens, as long as we keep getting song ideas and we still play gigs, we'll still be viable, and life goes on.
Yeah, well, tell you what, you mentioned the breakup song, and surprise, surprise, that was one of the songs that got the most questions. Now, that is what everybody wants to know. How did that come to be?
Oh, that's a great story, because we were working on, what was it? That was our 5th album. I forgot. I think it was the rock and roll album, and we were working on the breakup song in the studio, and we had the tracks. We just cut the tracks, and the guy says, my guy said, why don't you go out to the studio and just do like a work vocal, just something that we can hear what it's going to sound like. And I didn't have enough lyrics. I mean, I had maybe half a song's worth of lyrics. So every other line, I just threw an. And you know, in my wildest dreams, I never thought it would become part of the song. I thought it was basically a placeholder, and I was going to eventually write lyrics for those songs. You know, we had broken up for good just an hour before, and then instead of I was like, you know, we'd broken up a good an hour before, and now I'm looking out the window and I'm walking out the door. Something like I was going to write songs, actual lyrics. So I go in there and I got nothing. And every other line I'm singing, and the guys come in after I did it. I thought they were going to yell at me, but actually they came in and they said, "Wow, that was the deepest lyrics you've ever written." And I thought, I just made it up on the spot. And I said, you know, I was going to put actual lyrics in. They said, no, don't change a thing. And and you know, it stuck. And now I play that song live. I still play it live. And people sing along on the uh-uhs just like it was yesterday. It's amazing.
Yeah, I say that was one of the things that really people wanted to know. I can't tell you how many, people had asked that same question.
Yeah, I remember writing the song, and this is back when we had a rent a space in Berkeley, and we used to rehearse in there. And one day we had a song idea, and it was the verses for the breakup song. It was ba da 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 ba da 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 ba da 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 da, and that was about all I had. So I just started kind of cobbling together lyrics that fit into that thing, and lo and behold, it all came together. It's funny because of all the years that I've been doing that song, it's still a favorite, and people still like it. And it doesn't really mean anything. People say, "What is it?" I had taken I remembered when we were writing the song, and we had the verses for one song, which was going to become the breakup song, and we also had another song that was a different chorus. And what we did was we took the chorus of one song and put it together with the verses from the other song, and boom, instant song. So that was a lot of fun. I look back on songwriting, and I remember the stories, and I remember the feelings that we had at the time, and it was, that was the golden age of songwriting. And I still do it. I still do it once or twice a week. It's wonderful.
Well, when you're writing, do you start? Are you a music guy first or a lyrics?
Now, that's a great question, because I've done it over the years, and I've been doing this for a million years. Over the years, I've tried everything. I remember writing the breakup song here's another one. When we did Jeopardy, which is our biggest hit, I remember writing that in 15 minutes. Steve Wright had come, this was back in about 83. Steve Wright had dropped by my house, and he just came from the music store, and he just got one of these little Casio keyboards. And he says, "Hey, check this out." And it had a drum machine in it. And he started playing. And I said, "Man, that's great." And out of the clear blue sky, I started singing "Our Love's in Jeopardy." I don't know where it came from. It just materialized in my mind. And once we got that first verse done, we wrote the whole song in 15 minutes. And I remember thinking, wow, what was I having for lunch that day? I got to do that every day.
Well, I'll tell you one of the questions that about Jeopardy that we got from multiple people was the video, because the video was kind of a Fellini meets George Romero type deal.
Yes, yeah, a lot of
how did that come up?
George Romero. Yeah, we had a meeting with Joe Day, who was the director of the video, and just as, well, you guys have any ideas? And I really didn't have any. So he said, "Well, what are you into?" And I said, well, I like Creature Features. You know, I've always been a Creature Features fan. And he goes, perfect. Let's do like a Night of the Living Dead parody. I said, why not? And we had a lot of fun. Uh, there were so many funny stories attached to that video. We did it in one 48-hour shoot. And we did it at Mission Dolores Church in San Francisco, right there on Dolores Park. And we did it in one 48-hour shoot. And that was, I remember, look, I'm going to make a confession right now. I don't know what's going to happen to me, but I know that I'm going to hell for the stuff that I did in that church after hours. Yeah, and this was during our heavy partying days. So we were snorting, we were drinking, we were smoking, we were just out of control. And I don't remember hardly anything except that we had a ball doing it, and we had a lot of fun with the props, you know, and figuring a budget way to do things. And I look back on that, and it's probably one of my favorite memories. Of course, we made a bunch of those videos, and they were all linked so that you could watch them as one together. And you know, was Happy Man, Jeopardy, Reunited, Lucky. God, there was a bunch of them. Joe Day was the
Yeah.
director on the whole bunch, and really worked great. It was a lot of fun. I have the best memories of that.
Well, how did Weird Al come to you wanting to do a parody of it, and what was your response?
One day, Weird Al calls me up on the telephone, and he says, first of all, I said, "Hey, Weird Al, how did you get the phone number?" Because like nobody in the world knew my phone number. He goes, "I'm Weird Al. I know everything." And he, you know, called me one day and he said, "Look, I got an idea for a Jeopardy video, and I want to be able to, you know, have your blessing. And if you do a parody of another video, you got to get the permission of the original guy, which was me." So it was a lot of fun because you know, we came in to do that thing. I remember it just kind of fell together. You know, it was a lot of fun. I look back on those days. I don't know how we got anything done. I swear to God, we were partying the whole time. We were having a great time. Life was good.
How
You
did you
know,
wind
this
up
was back
in
in the
Al's
80s.
video?
Oh, Weird Al was. First of all, he asked me, "Can I do the thing?" And I was very flattered that he asked me. And he goes, "Well, I wanted to, you know, I think I got a great idea." And he told me the idea, and I said, "Man, that's a great idea." Actually, I did a cameo at the end of the Weird Al video, and it was great because I still get money from Weird Al, mailbox money from Weird Al. Can you believe that? It's been what, 30 years, and he actually put I lost on Jeopardy on part of the Weird Al's greatest hits. So that thing went like triple platinum, and you know, I'm still getting mailbox money from Weird Al. God bless that man.
As I say, that's college tuition money for your kids.
It was. I put them both of my kids through college, and they're doing great. You know, it's funny that you mentioned this because I'm no spring chicken, but I'm still working and I'm still viable and I still love to be creative. But at the same time, I think about my legacy. You know, I have grandchildren now. Can you believe it? 11 and 8 years old. They're my daughter's kids, and it's amazing to me that they loved it. You know, back when Grandpa was playing gigs, they'd show up at gigs, and they were really a big. And I hope that I've already started them on the guitar, so I hope that they'll keep the tradition in the Greg Kihn band, that we continue it on. I'd like to see, you know, my son is in the band now, Rye. So wouldn't it be great to have Rye and Nate and Zuri, my other two grandchildren? It'd be an all kin band. And but
There you go.
I think about that. The
Figuratively and
legacy.
literally.
Yeah, well, you know, you think about what are they going to think about 20, 30 years from when I'm gone? What are they going to think about grandpa? You know, are they going to realize that all the music, you know, I was trying to make a list the other day of all the songs that we've recorded. I lost track. I mean, after 20 albums, I really lost track. I mean, there's songs that I wrote and I never published, and I never I never did anything with. It just sat there. You know, we got albums worth of stuff that, you know, in the vaults that never came out. Maybe as the years go by, I'll re-release some of that stuff. You know, it's amazing. Over the years, I did a really smart thing. I retained my publishing, and I never sold it. When everybody else was selling their publishing, like Joan Jett and Eddie and all of my friends, they were getting $1 million deals for their publishing. And I kept my publishing all these years. And now I own it outright. I own the entire catalog. I own all of the master recordings, the artwork, everything. So it's great now. I can re-record or re-release that stuff along with, you know, the new material that we're coming up with. You know, it's all part of that creative process. You know, I'm working on a novel right now. You know, it's amazing how these things bleed into each other. It's about a guy that can plant memories in other people's brain, and it's called the Memory Maker, and he puts memories in your brain that never things that never happened. And then yeah, I thought to myself, you know, that's kind of like what I'm doing here. You know, I'm planting memories. People say, "Gee, that sounds familiar. Did you know I wrote that song in 1978?" I'm sorry, I'm out of there. But the whole thing, you know, I started in like I said before, was the early Paleozoic era, where you know, life before the internet, life before, I mean, tape recorders. We used magnetic tape. They don't even, and that's horse and buggy whip thinking now. Uh, you know, everything is digital. I'm
I'll
a
tell you,
digital
one of the things I
guy.
find interesting, as I say, one of the things I find interesting is you talk about, you know, time frames and stuff. Just the other night, I'm in the grocery store and the breakup song comes on.
Beautiful.
Playing it on whatever music service they're using, right? And I'm thinking, okay, that song was released 39 years ago.
Wow.
39 years prior to the breakup song debuting was 1942.
Yikes. And you realize
So
when
about
our parents
81, you
were
weren't hearing
listening to,
songs from 42 on the air.
yeah, consider the fact that where we are now musically and where we were back in 42, it was still big bands and, you know, Peggy Lee and stuff like that. You know, it was a kind of an interesting thing, because once I started to be like a professional songwriter, I got when Jeopardy was a #1 hit, I got the ASCAP award for most performed song on the radio. And I remember going to down to LA for the big award ceremony to get my ASCAP award. And, you know, this was a who's who. I mean, everybody was there. Michael Jackson was there. Everybody was there. And we were kind of in the reception room, and I'm just kind of kicking around, talking to people. And I see Quincy Jones, and he's coming towards me. And I stepped out of the way because behind me was Michael Jackson. I just assumed that Quincy was going in there to congratulate Michael Jackson. So I stepped out of the way, and he stepped out of the way too. And he goes, "No, no, I wanted to talk to you." I said, "Are you sure?" He said, "Yeah, I love Jeopardy. I thought that was about one of the best songs of the year." And I said, "God bless you, man." And this was, he shunned me, Michael Jackson, to tell me that. And
Wow.
it's kind of funny because we got through that. I mean, I'm not really an awards kind of guy. I always feel uncomfortable at those things. But in that one position, I remember Doc Severinsen and the NBC Orchestra doing a version of Jeopardy. You know what they did in the beginning of the show? They do an overture of all the songs, and there was Doc Severinsen doing my song. It blew my mind.
I would think. Tell you what, Greg, we are actually already at our 30 minutes for the show.
That's unbelievable.
Got to wrap things up here. And we didn't even get to half the stuff that, as I say, we didn't even get to half the things that the questions that people had asked us.
Did you get all the good ones?
Yeah. You know what? We've got more. What, would you be willing to do the show another time?
Yeah, you know what? This was easy. We can do this again.
Okay, we'll tell you what. We'll save the other questions for your next visit, and we'll schedule that one a few weeks down the road. How's that?
Excellent. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'll be here in the studio.
All right.
So just dial me up, and thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it, and these interviews are more like just conversations. I feel very comfortable doing this.
So, well, good deal. Well, Greg, we really do appreciate you taking the time. Look forward to having you on again. And everybody, this has been Music Night at the Majestic. Make sure you go to gregkihn.com to get all the info. I'm sure you're going to be having updates on what you're doing in the studio and all that good stuff.
Yep. I can't wait to go play live again. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I miss playing actual gigs.
Yeah, I miss going to them.
Yeah.
So, but all right, sounds good. I'll tell you what, this this edition of Music Night will be posted on Facebook, YouTube, and also at musicnight.net. We appreciate everybody for watching. Thank you much, Greg. Good night.
Hey, thank you.